I think you're about to announce a very special speaker.
I am. She's a dear friend, and I am super excited to have her speak. She's the featured speaker, and the first time I met Casey Council, we were in Napa, and my husband, the whole way there from Sacramento, was telling me, this couple is amazing, you're gonna love them, they're incredible, they're incredible. And so I got there with high expectations, and they were beyond my expectations. Incredible couple, and loved Casey, her desire to pour into people, to coach them, to challenge them to grow. It's not just about business. It's every facet of life, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. She has been a great mentor, a great coach. She's vulnerable, transparent. She challenges growth by growing herself. And so I just love and adore Casey. I remember one time where she invited Brent to a PSI, Personal Systems Institute growth thing, and he went, and it was a few weekends, and he was so challenged to grow, and he came back a changed person. And so I just so adore Casey, and I just can't wait to have her speak and share. So Casey, come on up.
Woo! Welcome.
3, 2, 1, level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy, yummy all in your tongue.
All right.
Level up, level up, level up, level up.
So one of the things that I love about coming to this event is that my mind gets stretched. As a matter of fact, last night I got stretched sitting at dinner because we're having a conversation how we are constantly selling features and benefits in real estate and life and EXP, yes? And so someone at the table said, well, what's the actual problem that you're solving in one word? And you know how you have those moments where something comes out of your mouth without going through the filter of your mind? And I heard someone that sounded like me answer that question and say, bondage. And someone across the table looked at me and she said, what did you say? And I'm like, well, I'm selling freedom from bondage. And I thought about my mentor, one of the most important mentors of my life, that said, if you have to go to bed thinking about money, how much you're making, when your next closing is, it is not different than any other addiction in your life. It will consume you. And when you get that solved, you will free yourself. He didn't use the word bondage, that's my word. You'll free yourself. And that's really what I've been doing and helping people to do. It's what I'm passionate about doing. So, as we kick off today, I'm gonna invite you all to close your eyes for a moment. And we're gonna go through a very important exercise. I want you to think for a moment as I reattach here. Give me a second. I want you to think about and just take an inventory in your life right now. I want you to think about where you're at personally, professionally, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially. I want you to think about what you've already navigated up to this point in your life. And equally important, what you're navigating right now. And as you think about all of those things, I'm going to invite you to ask yourself a really important question. And that question is, did I come this far to only come this far? I invite you to open your eyes. I remember multiple times I've asked myself that question. The picture that you see here is when Rick and I were in escrow on our dream home. We were getting ready to remove contingencies, only to find out on a Monday morning that our loan had been dropped, the same day we were due to remove contingencies. It was 2021 in the middle of the pandemic, and so we were scrambling to get another loan. We weren't finding one. And by the end of that week, the agent that was listing the property called and said, I have a cash offer, all cash, can close in 7 days with a 24-hour expiration on it, notice to perform. Now, what you don't know about this is that Rick and I had rented for 13 years because we had dug ourselves out of literally over 7 figures of debt, and there was a long story that preceded that, but for 13 years we had been working to create the life that we wanted. And I remember getting so angry, and I looked at him and I said, we did not come this far only to come this far. I'm calling the developer. And he said, you can't do that. I'm representing us as a client. I said, you're representing us as a client. And I walked out the front door and I called the developer. And I said, listen, we did not come this far only to come this far. We are buying this house. We don't have a loan right now. I get we're in contract, and this is the date that we're set to close. Every week that we don't close, we'll put another $100,000 in escrow until we do close. That's non-refundable. Are we good? And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, there's one more thing. And he said, what's that? And I said, I don't think that it's going to appraise. So I need you to take $75,000 off the offering price. And he said, okay, done. We did not come this far only to come this far. And I know that there's times that you can look at in your life that you didn't either. We got that house because we drew a line in the sand and we're willing to do whatever it took to make it happen. Now, when you stretch and do a new level of something that's far beyond anything you've ever experienced before, what we felt immediately was imposter syndrome. How many of you have ever felt that? Yeah, we're like, oh my goodness, we've been working at this for 13 years. It's exceeded our wildest dreams. There was a whole story that I'm not going to tell today about what led up to that and EXP being the vehicle to make that happen. But I remember expecting that when we closed escrow that we were going to be elated and excited. And in fact, what we were was really depressed. Because we felt like we were outside of the comfort zone that we'd been living in. Yes, we'd been going for it, but we didn't feel worthy for what we had actually created and the results that we had. And so what happened next is that I took a trip to New York, and I'm walking down the street, and this beautiful furniture store catches my attention. I walk in the store, I'm immediately drawn to the back of the store, and I see these butterflies on the wall. And it reminded me that every transformation requires a breakdown, and the breakthroughs only happen after breakdowns. How many have ever been in a breakdown? Yeah, who loves being in breakdown? Okay, some people actually do. They're the very dramatic ones. So you can be honest, it's okay. This is a judgment-free room. But a lot of us want the breakthrough without ever going through the breakdown. And the truth is that breakthroughs require breakdowns. And I remember seeing this and thinking to myself, well, this represents all of the breakthroughs that one could have in their life. And I remember getting to the halfway piece of the art, seeing and thinking like, well, this needs to be in our new home, in our dream home, with that view. We're in Butterfly Town, USA, Pacific Grove, for goodness sakes. This is meant to be in our home. And at the same time, I remember thinking, I want to freeze this moment in time because it's a culmination of all these incredible things that have come together. And to be quite honest, I was tired of having breakdowns. I mean, at some point, is it just not exhausting to be in breakdown, going to the next breakthrough? Yeah, I mean, there's growth that happens, but let's be honest, it's exhausting. So I bought the piece of art, and it's in our dining room as a representation of that. Now, a lot of you have goals. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have goals. I believe you want something more, better, or different, or you wouldn't put yourself in a room like this to be positioned to get something more, better, or different. And so today, what I'm going to challenge you to do is to think a little bit differently and to stretch yourself beyond where you have stretched yourself before today. And so, you know, when you set goals, there's pinnacle things that happen. There's moments that come together that are absolutely incredible. For our family, it was Rick being in his 43rd year of real estate and getting that call from his oldest son, who was 37 years old at the time, just about to turn 37, and saying, Dad, I want to do real estate. I want to be in business with you. And so this is the first real estate event that they attended together. Our grandson Roman was there. It was an incredible event. This is a wall that was outside of a restaurant that was being built at the facility where we were at. It's EXPCon 2023, and we were excited to be in this place in life, realizing a long-time dream, and really excited for what was coming next. Well, what came next was this. Later that month, I was speaking to an audience of close to 1,400 people celebrating the life of the man that I loved more than anything. Sometimes what comes next in your life, you could not even imagine. Now, what you'll notice about this is something really important. That audience is full of color. It's full of color. When things happen in our lives, we get to decide how we are going to live into them, particularly the ones that are really painful. And while it was one of the most challenging things that I can remember, I remember thinking like Rick was somebody that celebrated life. He loved life. On the invitation to the celebration of life, we said, if you do not wear color, the security guards will not let you in the Oakland A's Coliseum. We are not mourning, we are not grieving, we are celebrating the life of an absolutely incredible man. And so that was the end of October 2023. The house that we lived in for 13 years, I subsequently moved out of the next month. And I later learned that grieving can happen in two ways. It's anxious avoiders who go to bed and pull the covers over their head, and anxious doers who never go to bed and just keep moving. Turns out I was an anxious doer. So I'm like, yeah, let's plan a celebration of life for 1,400 people. We had hundreds of people streaming in on Zoom. Oh, yes, 2 weeks later, I'll be moved out of the house that we were in for 13 years, not take that stuff, give it, donate it, and relocate to where our dream house was, because that was our happy place. And the only thing I've got to focus on now is getting to Cancun in December of 2023, because I had signed up to go to a 10-day retreat with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And so it was the first time that I actually came up for air. I went there 2 days early. My very best friend was going to be meeting me there. And I sat in that lounge chair with the one next to me empty. And for the first time in my life, thought, I don't want to go on living. Because everything that I had spent the last 16 years working to build and create was ours. I didn't care about the house. I didn't care about the leveraged income. I didn't care about the experiences or creating new experiences. I wanted my husband back. And I walked around feeling invisible that day. And I had never experienced that in my body. And I knew Charlie's coming tomorrow. Just go to sleep until Charlie gets here. Don't do something stupid. And so I went to bed at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I slept 17 hours straight. And I woke up the next day, and it was a different day. Sometimes when we're in the midst of the most challenging things, we don't need to take on the next week or the next month or the next year. It's the next moment. The moment of thinking about my best friend and brother showing up to not have his sister be there was not something that I could handle in that moment, and so I did the next best thing I could do, which was go to sleep and wait for the next day to come. And so I know that I'm not alone in challenges and struggles. There's people that are in this room that have been through way much more than I have. But when we're in the midst of that, no, there's people in this room, there's people in your life that are there for you. You are never, ever, ever alone, even when it feels like you may be. Now, how many of you have things in your life that bring you great comfort? Just by a show of hands. Maybe like physical possessions that you have, that you hold on to, relationships, and things that they feel so good. And then at the same time, how many of you can think about some of those things that feel so good? And if you're really being honest with yourself, you can admit that those same things that feel so good are also keeping you safe and holding you back. Every single hand I would expect to see. Every person has areas that we're comfortable in, that they feel great, they're known, even if they have discomfort associated with them, and they're keeping us in the box that we've created for ourselves called our life. I remember experiencing this in the coming months after Rick passed, because this was his closet. And what I would do is I would go and I literally would walk into the closet. I would part the shirts, his colorful shirts. He was known for being a great dresser. And I would put my face in them. I would close my eyes. I would put them all around me. And I would stand there and I would breathe. And I could feel him like he was standing right there. And for months, it brought me a lot of comfort. Until one day it didn't. And I walked in that closet and I did the same thing. And I knew I'm going to go into a really dark hole. And these have got to go. And so in my mind, I'm always thinking about butterflies. I'm thinking about transformation. I'm not thinking about get rid of them. I'm thinking about how do we take what they are and change them into a form that's going to bless people, that's going to bring joy, that's going to be something greater than they are in the form that they exist today. And so thanks to a very good friend of mine who unexpectedly lost her husband, who was one of my great mentors that I mentioned at the beginning of my talk today, is I did take those and I did transform them into bears that were specially designed, the shirts picked out for 37 different people that he loved, that we loved, that live on as a piece of him, as a memory of who he was, as a reminder to always keep growing and keep living. And for the week that he was at that real estate event with his son and our grandson, to answer the questions, did I live, did I love, and did I matter? With a resounding yes. So where do you have opportunities in your life where something has made you so comfortable that maybe you know is holding you back? Where's your opportunity now to transform it into something even more beautiful that's going to bless the lives of other people and free you to keep moving? Now, there's another really important aspect. I remember getting this phone call from Kathy Gove, who you saw on the stage moments ago, and her saying, the girls and I want to come visit. And in the moment, my body was screaming, no, because I just wanted to hide in my house and be alone with my dog and settle into what was going to be my new life. And at the same time, the thought ran through my head, oh my goodness, Brent and Kathy have done so much for us. That phone call that Brent made and him showing up at our house at 8 o'clock on a Friday night to make Rick watch the model explained and subsequently get me involved in that conversation changed the trajectory of our lives forever. The home that I was living in, that deck with the view, it was because of a conversation that came from Brent, and then subsequently the relationship and all of the ways that Brent and Kathy had poured into us over the years. And so the other part of the voice in me was like, you're not saying no to Kathy Gove. And so Kathy and the girls showed up, and they spent a couple of days, and it was one of the most beautiful gifts. Sometimes in life, we don't know exactly what it is that we need, and other people do. And the hardest thing to do sometimes is to receive, particularly if you're independent, particularly if you're strong, and particularly if you're somebody that likes to go through things on your own and figure them out. Receiving can be really challenging. And what I'm here to tell you is that you're in a room of women and people and a community that are here for you to the extent that you will allow them to be. That visit from Kathy and Christina and Sarah, literally, it was like being wrapped in a blanket of love and hope and peace and comfort. There was no demands. I wasn't entertaining. We were sharing time. We were sharing space. And that is because of a little opportunity called EXP that came knocking on our door the end of 2016, and the fact that we chose to say yes to that. Those relationships continue to develop. Every single one of you have that in this room to the extent that you're willing to develop it and receive the love and support that is waiting for you, literally waiting for you. Now, I believe, and this is a really hard thing, and I said it to myself over and over and over again, life is happening for me even when it's not. Life is happening for me even when it's not. The morning after I woke up that Rick had passed away, life is happening for me even when it's not. How is this happening for me? How could this possibly be happening for me? This is not happening for me. Yeah, it is. I haven't found. How is it happening for me? How is it happening for me? And so, 9 months go by, and I am scheduled for a surgery 3 months later. And I realized, oh my goodness, this was a surgery I was supposed to have the month that he passed, and it got put off because my surgeon said, absolutely not. We're not doing surgery with you in this condition. Your body needs to be strong. I had something that during surgery would have implicated the nerves that control speech and swallowing on my right-hand side. And I said to my surgeon, I get paid to speak for a living. That's not going to work. So we were putting it off, and we were no longer putting it off. And so the surgery was scheduled for August of 2024. And I realized 90 days out, I have been eating lasagna and mud pie across the street, grieving and comforting myself. And that is not going to set my body up for an optimal recovery and healing after a major surgery and overnight stay and 6 hours under anesthesia. And so I went to get my car washed one day, and I noticed a storefront that I had never noticed before. And so I walked back while the car was getting washed, and it was this sign on the front that said Bovine Strength Systems. I opened the door. I'm like, oh, it looks like a gym. There's, this very fit gentleman not smiling. I walk in, find out what it is. It's a training facility. It's not a gym. You can only go in there to train with one of the trainers. And there's these two women that are in there, they look like they're in their 50s, and they're really healthy, and they're really strong, and they're really fit. And they say, this is the most amazing place. You're going to love it. And then there's this guy standing there like he's going to kill someone. And I'm like, and they're clearly training with him. And I'm thinking, what's the gap, right? So I said, well, here's the deal. I'm going in for surgery. I want to get healthy. He says to me, are you coachable? So I'm gonna have you ask yourself this question. Are you coachable? And I said, yeah, I'm totally coachable. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. As a matter of fact, I want to be told what to do because I don't want to have to think at this juncture. I just want to have to execute. And he said, well, how about as it relates to your nutrition? And I said, well, of course. Now, what I didn't tell you is that I had walked in that day with a latte and a pastry bag. And he said, well, you're probably not going to want more than 10 sessions because we do things according to my way, and you might not like it, so it might not be the place for you. And immediately in that moment, I'm like, oh, this is so my place. This is so my place because I've got somebody that is so confident in their product and what they can deliver and that they will deliver on it. I knew immediately that was it. Now, I initially went into that for the purpose of getting ready for surgery. However, what ended up happening is that I started to enjoy something that I'd never enjoyed before. Because for me, taking care of myself and working out was more of a punishment for what I'd eaten, or something that I should do to be healthy and strong, or something that was related to an event coming up in an outfit that I wanted to get into, or God forbid, coming to some place like Cabo where I might be in a pool with a swimming suit on, right? This is where I associated working out, even though I'd been very athletic and done tons of things over my life. That was my mindset about it. And I started having a very different experience around it, so much so that within 2.5 weeks post-surgery, I was back training again and have not stopped 3 days a week. I have my programming that I have been doing here since I've been here. And what that did was it changed me. I changed myself by doing something different for the first time in my life in a way that I have never done it before consistently over a period of time. Why am I telling you that story? I'm telling you that story because not too long ago, I took an inventory of everything that's happened over the last 2.5 years since Rick passed. And in every way, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, relationally, I am the best version of me that I have ever been in my life till now. And then the next thing after that realization was a really challenging question. That question was, if I could have my old life back, those shirts that smelled that way because they had the man in them that I loved, and the experience of coming to this event every year and doing life together with the man that I loved more than anything, if I could have all of that life back, and what I would have to do is trade who I am today to get that back, would I make that trade? And the answer was no. Now, that does not invalidate or disrespect or make less anything about what that life was. That is to make the point that life, regardless of what it is that happens in your life or that happens in mine, is that catalyst to call us forward and give us the opportunity to grow into the next iteration of who we are meant to be. And who you're meant to be is not the same as who I'm meant to be. You have a signature, a fingerprint that's unique to you. It's a story that only you can tell because it's yours. It's a difference that only you can make with the people that you will resonate with. Your story matters. Your voice matters. Your experience matters. And people hearing what that is matters. And so while we all have our versions of challenges and struggles, which I actually view as opportunities, even though sometimes those opportunities come disguised as challenge and they suck, like they really feel like they suck, we all get to do the same thing, and that's to make a decision in those moments of what direction we're going to go and who we're going to choose to become next. And then equally important, who are the people that we're going to take with us into that next version, that next iteration. And what I've discovered over the last 2.5 years is that there was only one thing for me to do, and it was show up. I have not had it figured out, not one day at all. I just kept showing up. I remember the first CABO event that I came to was, 4 months after he passed. And when everyone saw me, like, the looks on people's faces, they were happy to see me and then also sad because I could see them looking for the person that was no longer with me, right? That was brutal, yet it was also the most incredible thing. All there is for you to do is show up. Keep showing up and show up again and extend a hand and invite other people to show up with you and keep stretching and going through whatever it is that you're meant to go through. I call it the refiner's fire, to bring out the next best, beautiful version of you. And so here's what I feel really confident about, is that there's no accident that you're sitting in this room, in this community of people, with a vehicle like the one that we have with EXP that can literally take you from bondage, because unless you don't have to think about money at all and you can live your life with the time and the decisions to be where you want, when you want, with who you want, as much as you want, without regard to time or money, you're in some form of bondage. And you're sitting in a community of people that are like-minded, that want to create freedom from that for themselves, because with that comes immense impact, so that the time and energy that you have while you're in the form called you on this earth is that you can make the difference that you're meant to make, because you've got the money piece handled, and it's continuing to help you grow into greater and greater iterations of you. And so when I look around this room, I can confidently say that if you're sitting in this room, you did not come this far to only come this far. You did not, or you would not be in this room. And so as you move forward, and we're going to hear from some incredible women next, and their stories, the stories of people that you resonate with or iterate your version, the relatability, somebody that may not even be here that you're thinking about that you can take their story back to. These are the things that bond us, because one of my mentors said, if one can, anyone can, and if that one can, that means you can too. So as you look around, anybody that you meet here at this event or in your life, if they've created something that you want to create, there is nothing different between them and you other than the way they think and what they're willing to execute. And you're in a community of people that's here to share and to give freely to help you get wherever it is that you want to get and grow on your journey. And so my invitation to you is to embrace that, do one of the most challenging things that you can ever do sometimes as a woman that's independent and entrepreneurial, and that is to receive all of the love and the care and the support and the community that is here and invested in you to help you grow into your next iteration of you, so that you can make the difference that only you can make in our world. Thank you.